This week on the Mr. Throwback Thursday podcast, we bring you a reason to not give a fuck. Luke fought for your rights. Sampling is a skill. Rocking the polka dots. The top 40. And all of the things that made up the year 1989. A number. Plus, a special guest joins us. What else? Let's listen.
It's not just any day. It's Mr. Throwback Thursday.
All these kids want to get on and shit.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
I'll be damned. At the count of three, I want y'all to tell me the name of my DJ.
1, 2, 3. And now, here's your hosts, Bill Winters and Mr. Throwback Thursday himself, Jamie Robinson.
And a very pleasant good evening to everybody. And if you are watching on the live feed, you notice there are 3 faces on the screen right now. Welcome to Mr. Throwback Thursday, episode 567. Your 2 favorite idiots bringing you all the hip-hop news that you've come to expect on a weekly basis. Bill up in New York, Jamie down in Virginia. How are you, my friend?
I am well.
And would you like to be so kind to introduce the Paul Lynde, the man in the middle?
That's Moni. You didn't recognize Moni? No.
Moni's in the middle.
From the 1980s Now podcast. Welcome, Will.
Hey guys. I love that theme. It's like fired out of a hip hop cannon. It's fantastic.
It is.
We always say that we have the best theme for any hip hop podcast out there. And we always give a shout out to our good friend Pumice who put that together. We had a theme. He heard it, said, that's garbage. I need 10 minutes. And then he gave us that. And 10 years later, we're still using it.
We had for our first episode, we just needed something. So to just like mash some stuff together because we had 0 skills. And then he heard it and he said, do you mind if I make you a quality intro? I'm like, please do. And he put that together after like 7 different versions of an intro that he didn't like. And there it is. It's still here.
Yeah.
And so, Will, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, why you're here.
Sure. Why I'm here, I don't know. But I'll tell you who I am. I'm, as you mentioned, I'm Will. I'm the host of 1980s Now. It's a podcast dedicated to examining 1980s pop culture, but not only hey, remember when, but also kind of like your show, talking about how it's still influencing things today. We talk about a whole lot of things. I don't fortunately I guess maybe the why I'm here, and I'm grateful to both of you, is because I don't get to chat with my co-hosts, Kat or John, about hip hop a whole lot because there's a lot of blank stares. John's got some, he's got some favorites, Beastie Boys, included Beastie Boys. He loves 2 Live Crew like I do. Yeah. But other than that, I think that's the extent of the Venn diagram of our hip hop shared experience. So I'm grateful to be here to talk with 2 hip hop heads.
Yeah, we're happy to have you.
So you're saying Kat is not a hip hop person?
No.
Does Duran Duran have any hip hop covers they've done?
They did 911 as a joke.
There we go. See,
so that's your right. End of list.
Well, we are certainly more than happy to have you join us. 1980s Now, by the way, if you haven't listened to it, we talk about it at the end of every show. Great show. I did listen on my way driving up to the rink to referee games early Saturday morning. It gets me through a 45-minute drive and then a 45-minute drive home. So it's a great way to pass the time.
Kat says Duran Duran also covered White Lines.
Oh, yes, right.
Did they really? Or
no, she would know.
Because I'm going to have to find this if that's the case.
Bill, you're fine. You don't need to hear it.
No, I'm going to say you give me something to do during the break.
Original, you're good enough.
I didn't say I was going to like it, but I have to know that it exists. And you're a 2 Live Crew guy.
Oh yeah.
Well, you'll be very happy when we get into hip hop headlines because we will be talking about our good friend Uncle Luke, who has given us one of Jamie's favorite drops to throw in here.
Well, let me ask, are you irritated when people use other variations of your name? So like, should someone call you Bill or someone call you William or Guillermo or whatever? Do you have issue with that since you are established as a Will?
I don't take issue with it. Most folks get it right after I introduce myself. There are folks from my prior life, when I was a kid, that are grandfathered in as Bill or Billy.
That's me as well.
Yeah. But Bill, I got to tell you, I take issue with the fact that, and for the longest time, folks call me again, Billy. Where does the B come from? There's no B.
I have no idea either. I was born William, but I was named. But ever since I was a kid, my parents called me Bill because my mother's brother, who I was named after, was my uncle Bill. And I really don't know. I mean, it's the same kind of thing as where did Jack come from John?
For John, yeah.
So I don't know.
We can talk about Richard. He gets the worst.
That guy gets the shaft.
You're yeah, there's a tip for you. No, I actually, in my prior life as a banker, came across a check written out by a Richard Head Jr. So not only was there one dickhead, he named his kid Dickhead as well. So
no,
you can't make this up.
No,
I get called Billiam a lot, actually,
Yes.
John. Everybody I've ever worked with, for some reason, combines Bill and William, and I get Billiam a lot.
Yeah, but Bill does not like Billy. And we got a drop from Uncle Luke, and he said, "I'm hanging with my boys Jamie and Billy." So that is one of my favorite ones to play.
I don't even let my wife call me that. There's very few people who can call me that, and usually it's guys I played hockey with in high school,
or Uncle Luke.
Or Uncle Luke, because I don't have the heart to send back a video going, there's no Y on it.
Yes. I've got a few notes for you.
Yeah. So if you could read.
Oh, yes. And then there's the 3 Bs, which was
3 Bs, which came from Cool Kim. That would be Billy Booty Hole Brown. Billy Booty Hole Brown is a given nickname which he has to accept.
There's a T-shirt that has it on there now, so I can't escape it. Yes,
Almost made the design for it.
Now, when you say there's a T-shirt with it on it, you mean the words booty hole, right? Okay.
The actual word says Billy Booty Hole Brown, and it has my visage on it. So it's one of those crosses I'll have to bear. But anyway, we are here for Mr. Throwback Thursday, episode 567. It's a special episode. We are, since we are amongst 1980s royalty, we will be talking most of what made... Would you say, Jay, maybe the second greatest year in hip hop history?
I would say second or third. I got 88 is hands
88
down.
is
And then 88, 90, or 89 and 93 are a toss up for me.
But 93 doesn't fit the
It does not fit
the qualifications of the episode. So I always said 88, 89, 93 in that order. So we are going to having his class photo taken. That's Pumice. That's who made the theme song for us. So
I was just praising your song too.
And he's praising your background. So,
yes.
Oh, is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. So we shall get started if we would like with a little bit of that hip hop headlines. So in the immortal words of Stephanie McMahon, would you please give me a little of that Triple H?
Yes.
This is Hip Hop Headlines, brought to you by Mr. Throwback Thursday.
And so Will doesn't feel like he's not at home.
1980s now.
In the mix.
We are going to start Hip Hop Headlines with an article that Jamie has titled, Why We Don't Give a Fuck.
Yeah. Because this happened in 1989.
1989. And the Public Enemy hat on your head should give you key to the phrase, who gives a fuck about a goddamn Grammy?
Right.
So, according to Andscape.com, which I believe is a news source, I don't
Yes,
think
not
we've ever
Manscaped,
used them.
Andscape, yes.
No, that's something completely different. DJ Jazzy Jeff, the Fresh Prince, and a Grammy boycott that set the tone for 3 more decades of rap and culture.
Do you remember this, Will?
You know, I don't.
There was a big snub.
Yeah, I don't remember it offhand. No, I mean, and learning about it, I mean, there's lots of reasons. It's frustrating. I'm sure Bill's going to tell us about it. But
the year was 1989.
Yes,
a number. The scene,
down.
the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles, California. Billy Crystal was hosting the Who Gives a Fuck About a Goddamn Grammys.
That's about as 80s as it gets right there.
The 31st annual Grammy Awards. George H.W. Bush recently sworn in as president of the United States. But in the last year of the 80s, pop ruled the Billboard charts, as it usually does. But
Yes.
hip-hop continued its rise in sales and impact on the culture, as people such as Public Enemy, Heavy D, 2 Live Crew, Beastie Boys, Queen Latifah, Big Daddy Kane, everybody were changing music at the time. The 10-time Grammy winner of the evening that night was Bobby fucking McFerrin.
Bobby McFerrin, yes.
Oh, there's another great Public Enemy quote there.
Yeah. With Don't Worry, Be Happy, which
It was a #1 jam.
it was a #1 jam and had a lot of controversy attached. It had been used by the Bush presidential campaign without permission.
Presidents have been known to do that.
And still do.
And catch some backlash, yeah.
So much so that it bothered McFerrin. He took that song out of his concert set list for years.
Did he say he did that because he didn't want to be associated with HW?
Pretty much. So the television broadcast also had Whitney Houston, who sang One Moment in Time against a montage of 1988 Olympic stuff. But what didn't happen during the broadcast,
The first ever Grammy for rap, right?
for rap, yes.
Yeah.
1989, DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince had been nominated for the first ever Best Rap Performance for Parents Just Don't Understand. They win the award. They weren't there to pick it up. The only rap award that would be announced during the non-televised portion of the show.
Yeah. So
And hip hop basically said, Will said, we chose to boycott. He called the idea of the afternoon award. Yeah, it's like 2:30 in the afternoon. So, here's your hip hop award.
Well, that is how they could get away with saying, we're going to include rap in the Grammys this year. You're not going to be on TV and we're not going to admit that we did that, but you'll have one and we can say we did it.
He goes, it's like a slap in the face. You go to school for 12 years. And then they give you your diploma in a gymnasium before the ceremony and don't let you walk down the aisle. So, do you remember who the other nominees were?
I have no idea. I just remember that it was Jeff and Will, and they because they came out talking about it. It was in what magazine was it in? Doesn't matter because it's not around
Probably
anymore.
Word Up or something.
It was one of those. They did an interview with him, and they said.
Because the sad thing is, the other nominees, some of them were even 3 years before that year. So they were just scraping up songs to fill out a nominee list. Hey, keep my song's name out your Grammy damn mouth. That's funny. The other nominees that night were Push It.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to
87, 86, 87?
Yeah. Going back to Cali.
Okay.
Wild Wild West. And Supersonic.
Ooh. Probably the worst JJ Fad song ever written.
Yeah, but the one that everybody knows.
Well, that's the only one that they got pushed out as a single. And, that funded Ruthless Records from then on.
Well, they were doing that speed rap long before Eminem. So
yeah, the Summa Lumma Duma Lumma.
Yeah.
With the absolute worst beatbox in the world.
Yes.
Baby D. She is atrocious. Like Run is really close. Run is a horrible beatbox, but
Did it run? Yeah.
yeah, but Baby D is awful.
Yeah, as Bill mentioned, they reached from prior years to put together the 1989, nominee list.
Yeah.
That's already a slap in the face. But the songs they chose, even overlooking, like we pointed out, you guys pointed out, and I agree with you. 88 was the best year for rap.
Yes.
So many good choices that were more recent that could have been on this list if they wanted to skip 89 for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, how many, looking back now, how many albums came out just in 88 that you could have picked any single and thrown up there? And Will and Jeff probably would have lost.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they definitely would have lost.
But it depends on who's voting here.
Except for the
people
fact
didn't want
that-
them there in the first place are voting, so it doesn't matter.
Except for the fact that Will and Jeff were the gateway artists.
right.
They were the friendly ones.
Yeah.
The ones that you would see on MTV and not necessarily on Arsenio when people were tuning into that and seeing Quest for the first time and saying, who the hell are these guys? Yeah, 3 Feet High and Rising. You could have gotten 1 or 2 tracks off at Paul's Boutique.
Yeah. Yeah, but nobody liked Paul's Boutique. No critic liked Paul's Boutique.
Nobody.
came out.
And the minute I heard Paul's Boutique, I loved it. So I was anti-mainstream as anybody back then.
John said they were the marijuana of hip hop.
Yeah,
they were
pretty
the
much.
gateway. Oh, yeah, look at that one.
Mm-hmm.
We're just
The Cactus CD. How's that?
talking about research. Pre-show. Sorry, you gotta be
we
patient
could have
for
had Grammys could have gotten a gas face, is what you're saying. And they kind of did.
Yeah.
They announced that
set a
rap-
trend. That didn't happen for a few years. There was a boycott for a few years.
Yeah, they announced they would have their own official category, and Jazzy Jeff was like, the excitement was through the roof. It was validation. But when the news quickly turned bittersweet that they weren't going to be televised, Russell Simmons and Leor Cohen of Def Jam led a boycott of the Grammys. And boycotting the show as well were Salt and Pepper, Public Enemy, Ice-T, and others.
I have an issue with that part. Public Enemy and Ice-T had no reason to be at the Grammys in the first place.
Well,
so if you
there's
were,
a lot of
if you
people
were
who go to
invited,
the
can you really
Grammys who
boycott
weren't.
it?
Well, there's a lot of people who they might have been invited, even if they weren't nominated. There's a shit ton of people they invite.
Yeah, but this is 1989.
Yeah,
and we don't even want rap on the stage on the show.
Yeah.
So Ice-T in 1989. That's not the guy you want to put it out in public. He's not Odafin Tutuola at that point. He's
No.
Ice motherfucking T, bitch. That's who he is. You know,
Yes.
But what is the impact of doing a boycott for something that's not even on TV?
Right.
And I think this is probably why I don't remember it. Because one, I don't even remember the category being first introduced and being excited about that, which I would have been.
right.
But I'm not even sure how that was promoted. And then the boycott, but for reading an article that came out in some trade, maybe.
yeah.
Which I wasn't doing. I was listening to, Chuck Chillout and Red Alert. Unless they were talking about it, I didn't know about it.
It wasn't a full boycott though. There were some people who were there.
Right.
JJ Fad attended. Cool
Well, of
Mo
course.
D attended.
That surprises me that Mo D was there.
Yeah, he
I
said.
mean, Wild Wild West was nominated, and I'm sure that he believed he was going to win, even though it wasn't going to be on TV. But
Well, I think he thought he was going to win. I don't think he thought he was going to win because he was presenting the award.
see, I got to say something about Mo D, and I'm sure I've said it before. Mo D is like the biggest fan of hip hop. Like I ran into him at a couple of different shows. He's in the audience. He could be standing backstage. He can be in the locker room. He is standing right up front and rapping along with all these guys. He is a big fan.
So he even had nice things to say about Cool J at that time, which
Well,
is
yeah.
saying something because they were
Right.
beefing. Remember, and then come to find out it was all just a big WWE show where we're going to pretend we don't like each other just so
Yeah.
we can both make money.
But that's how
Like,
it
I'm
was
gonna-
back then. That's
I'm
what
going to diss you on a record,
Yeah.
and I'm going to make a lot of money. You're going to diss me on a record, and you're going to make a lot of money.
And people are going to be looking for the comeback. Yeah. But don't call it that. Evening, Captain.
No, that was a different year.
Yes.
So one of the producers of Parents Just Don't Understand believed in the boycott, and that was the founder of Rough House Records. He goes, it was important to make that stand. I actually thought it would help them. They weren't bowing down to the Grammy gods, and people respect you for that. And I'm thinking to myself, like you said, why? What was the big deal about the boycott if most people didn't know it was even going to be on there?
Yeah, and is that why they ultimately televised it? Probably not.
No, I think probably after a while it was just a case of where's the hip hop award as it got bigger and bigger and bigger.
It did get much more mainstream coming into the 90s. I mean, it became, probably the best selling genre coming through the 90s. So they really couldn't. They had to let it in at that point and showcase it.
All right, let's get to our next article, and I have a question for both of you. You calling this fighting for your right?
Yes.
What do you think is the most important album of 1989?
Holy shit.
Well, maybe not the greatest album, but the most important.
Wow. Well,
Let me take a look at everything that was in 89, because I'm sure that we're going to get to that.
This is a record that was released in February 7th of 1989. And I think this record, if it wasn't released, I don't think hip hop gets as big as it does.
Yeah, I'm tempted to, call out Paul's Boutique, but because of their use of samples made it so, obviously the Bomb Squad, was already doing stuff like that. But they, the Dust Brothers took it to a whole other level. But because we know after that, all these lawsuits came in and all these people, music, you couldn't have that album again. So as important as it was for a moment and as great as it is, it didn't really, the influence couldn't stay with us because nobody could afford to make a Paul's Boutique or something like that. So I love it, but I don't think I would say that's important.
No, because at the time, I don't think it moved the needle very much either. Remember, the critics didn't like it.
Right.
And most of the BC fans who were all about the
frat rap,
the license to ill frat rap.
Yeah.
This was a different animal altogether.
They still wanted to hear the 808 or 909. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Pumice was calling this one out. I'm not going to dig into 1989 and see what they say, but I would have gone with 3 Feet High and Rising. But that runs into the same issue with the sampling, which is why
a lot of samples.
When they re-released it, finally, there were some slight changes
left
to it.
Off.
Yeah.
Yep. 1989 brought us
every time, right? Every time you hear it.
The record that introduced us all to the PMRC.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah.
As Nasty as They Want to Be was released in February of 1989.
Right.
And if it wasn't for that record and the fact that Luke basically took a one-man stance, because, well, one band stance, let's put it that way.
Really, at the time, Luke was the band. He was the face at the time, even.
Yeah, nobody knew anything about
Mr. Mix.
Mr. Mix or, yo, this Marquise baby.
Yeah.
And our good friend, Fresh Kid Ice.
Oh, God. Probably the worst rapper next to You God of any group.
I was going to say he's the You God of Two Live Crew. According to NPR, Two Live Crew didn't just test the boundary of good taste, they shit all over it.
I'll go with that. It's about the best way you can put that.
Yeah. I think I'd use another bodily function on their music.
Yeah.
But with Luke, that's the question.
Yeah. No, I don't think he would, because then he wouldn't have been able to say Tudu Brown 100 times in that record. In 1989, As Nasty as They Want to Be boasted some of the raunchiest music ever heard. Do you remember the clean version of that record?
It was awful.
How terrible that was. As clean as they wanted.
I got to tell you.
Why?
This is why, in my life anyway. I had them both. So,
I did too.
And I would, depending on which crowd I was with, just to get my Two Live Crew in, I might switch the cassette out, in the car for one or the other.
Yeah, no, that was like the, you couldn't get As Nasty as They Want to Be in some of the department stores. Well, like today it would be Walmart, where, Walmart used to only sell the clean version of something.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some of them that wouldn't sell the dirty versions.
First record I was ever proofed to buy.
Oh, wow.
Before Two Live Crew, hip hop was fairly tame, says Kiana Fitzgerald, who was a cultural critic. They became early provocateurs, to put it lightly. Yeah, because
Not agent provocateurs.
who else was coming out with, the fuck shop, and which was one of my favorite songs off of that record. I have to be honest about it.
Welcome to the fuck shop.
Because they were doing sampling big time on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, Two Live Crew was looking for a way to stand out from New York and LA, and they wanted to bring the Miami sound.
Yeah,
make
because
it
they
its
still
own
had
thing.
that doom, 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 but they were rapping over it.
So Uncle Luke told NPR way back when, he says, if we're going to compete with these guys, we don't have the same budget that they have. This will set us apart from everybody else.
Yeah,
Let's do comedy. Let's sample some of these famous comedians like Red Fox and Leroy and Skillet and Aunt Esther. And there's some names from the past.
Yeah.
And the samples they use from those guys are fantastic.
And then, of course, let's take a line from Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And turn it into, at the time, probably a top 40 hit that had no business being on friendly radio at all.
I was thinking about this recently because I don't know, maybe it was on Spotify or something. It came up on shuffle like you might also like this kind of thing based on one of my playlists. And it was a version that was cleaned up. It didn't have some of the samples in there. And I thought, I'm pretty sure in 80s radio, they played the As Nasty version with the, and I think it's the clip. I think it's a sample from the movie, where she's talking about the menu of items.
Yes. Mm-hmm. What do we get for $10?
Everything you want.
You're right. Even saying "Me So Horny," you can't imagine that. I think on the radio now, I don't listen to
nobody listens to terrestrial radio. It's okay.
I was going to say I don't listen to terrestrial radio. On satellite, you can basically say anything you want. I remember I think the first time I heard "Me So Horny," it was probably on, and you'll know this, Jay, because you grew up around here. I think it was on K104.
That would make sense. Yeah.
And the first time I heard it, I was like, what the hell is this?
I like that Pumice pulls out the Paul Hardcastle 19. Anybody remember Paul Hardcastle's 19?
Absolutely, yeah.
The Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I love that song.
The average age was 19.
No, 19. Yeah. You don't often get a Paul Hardcastle reference, so I had to throw that one out there.
No.
Yeah, I remember, my dad was a Vietnam vet. I was like, Dad, look, look at this song. He's like, get that shit off. Turn that off.
So anyway, Luke's plan worked. He was different.
He was. He still is.
And then a Broward County judge declared that not only was he different, he was the legal definition of obscene.
Yeah.
The first album legally deemed obscene.
Yeah, he didn't know what it was. He knew what it was when he saw it, but he couldn't define it. Yeah.
Yep.
A record store owner was actually arrested for selling it.
I remember
Broward County.
I know it was in Broward County. Yeah. I couldn't have told you that until you said it. I was like, fuck yeah, I remember that.
Some members of the crew even got busted for performing the music live at a Hollywood, Florida nightclub.
Right.
I remember Ice-T was going to get arrested for performing Cop Killer at the Chance in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He did it anyway. I was there. It was a cool show.
They really set a legal precedent for hip hop artists to be able to create in the way that they choose to. You wouldn't have, you wouldn't have even had like Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown back then.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Luke being so gung ho on getting the, you know what, we're going to say what we're going to say. And
we're going to be as nasty as we want to be. Yeah.
And if you don't like it, don't buy the record.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Right.
But
so now,
put the sticker on there so people know not to buy it. Yeah. How'd that work?
How'd it work? It worked the opposite.
It
More
did
people, and I forget who it was. I think it was
Dee Snider.
Pumice said it earlier. He goes, the PMRC helped boost sales for so many records by making that stupid sticker, because it got to the point where I would look Jamie and I would look for the sticker and be like, okay, this one has to be worth listening to. That's how we discovered Too Short.
Yeah. Now I got to peel it off before I get to the counter.
No, we were old by that time.
Now you bring up D. Snyder, all I can hear is "Stay hungry."
D. Snyder said something similar about the stickers, I think, back in 1985 when they had the committee.
Yeah.
But I went to law school, and now that I know the album you were thinking of, Bill, it makes sense because they teach this case in law school, and they also teach the Roy Orbison case as well, also for Two Live Crew, where they got they had that issue with making a parody of Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman, yeah.
Which is it's my least favorite of their songs, probably, but it's so over the top.
It wasn't good, but it was necessary.
But Two Live Crew, I don't know that offhand. I can't think of any other rap artists they use their cases to teach law students. And yeah, you're right. It's two of them.
I'm surprised they haven't with like De La and Biz with the mass amount of sampling law being such a big thing now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm shocked, especially since you have the album that they pulled off the shelf from Biz. Yeah, you have. I Need a Haircut.
I Need a Haircut album. Yeah,
which he didn't clear any of the samples, and they pulled that.
Which is why the next album was called All Samples Cleared. Yeah,
and then they have of course, the story of Tribe Called Quest, who didn't clear Lou Reed's sample. And they make zero money off of that song now. Yeah. So, but they basically end by saying if there wasn't a Two Live Crew, there wouldn't be a Megan Thee Stallion, a Cardi B, a Lil Wayne, anybody who basically makes sex a part of their persona.
There would not be a Too Short.
There certainly wouldn't be a Too Short.
And just to be clear, what happened was, so like Jamie alluded to this idea of how do we determine something's obscene? Mm-hmm. And famously, I don't remember the judge, but the Supreme Court justice said, I know when I see
old one, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a 3-pronged test to determine if something's obscene or not. And the last one is whether the thing being considered has artistic merit. And the first judge, the one that said it was obscene, said it had no artistic merit.
Right.
But he just decided this on his own. He didn't do any kind of analysis or comparison with other things in the market. He just said it is. And then when they appealed that to the circuit court, they were like, hang on a second.
Who said
you got to do more work than that. And Two Live Crew brought in all these experts, and the other side had nobody. And so, they proved that, what's art is, and by the beholder for the most part. And so, now, like as Bill pointed out, we're free to make whatever dirty songs you want.
Yeah, and Bill gets to read them every week.
Right.
I just think it's funny that the legally savvy Two Live Crew also recorded "Lick My Ass Up and Down, Lick It Till Your Tongue Turn Doo-Doo Brown."
Doo-Doo Brown.
There we go.
And of course, that was the other thing that Two Live Crew was famous for, was just that call and response. I'm going to say the most ridiculous shit. I don't have to write anything talented. I'm just going to say, but pop that pussy, and you'll say it back to me. But we're going to make
Luke's audience. That's all they wanted.
That's all they wanted.
They wanted to be part of the show, and Luke made them part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I remember being at a party where,
walking in, I heard
everybody say, hey.
It's not much different from that. It's just a different thing to chant back.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that he calls me Billy on that promo,
which is why I play it.
Luke may be one of the top 5 most important people in the history of hip hop. Just because of the fact that legally he was like, no, fuck this. I'm fighting this.
Mm-hmm.
And
now, of course, we know George Lucas defeated him. But
yes, he did.
He did.
The Sky Eye Walker name.
Yes. Yeah. No, that was a different legal battle. Oh, that's just like having the extra do.
Yep. He says he owns that now.
And we're talking about sampling. The next article, just a little sample, comes to us from Spin Magazine, because they never ever plugged me.
That's right.
And if anybody knows what song that's from or what group said that,
do I count?
Well, other than you.
Okay.
I hate a lot of whites and I hate a lot of blacks. I hate pooping in public places, but we all hate that.
Yeah. That was not in 1989. No.
I hate lesbian feminists because they're also damn ugly. I hate Spin Magazine because they never ever plug me.
God, you stumped me.
That's good. You don't want to know that one.
We still have it. I actually listened to that the other day too, just because I really like that record.
One Fierce Beer Coaster.
So on De La Soul's million-selling debut, 3 Feet High and Rising. Again, we have to say it that way. 1 minute and 11 seconds of bugging out entitled Transmitting Live from Mars. It's basically nothing more than a sample of a French lesson floated over a tape loop of the first 4 bars of the Turtles' 1969 song You Showed Me. Yeah. With some drum beats added underneath. Transmitting Live from Mars may be a goof, but former Turtles, Flo and Eddie, they're not amused. They filed suit against De La Soul and Tommy Boy Records for $1.7 million in punitive damages. This isn't just a financial objection, they said. Flo and Eddie are generally upset with the way De La Soul chopped up and mutilated their song.
I'm betting you they didn't know the term chopped up.
No, and I want to know how they heard it. Because I can't imagine that the Turtles were listening to De La Soul, especially a deep cut off the album.
Yeah, no. Everybody's got spies.
When again, just something I learned in law school from a professor. When he told us that when he was younger, now he was an older guy at the time, that they would get paid by law firms as law students, or if they were at a firm, to go to nightclubs and write down all the songs, so that then they could go to the companies that, publishing company that owned it and say, hey, do you know so and so? Do they have a license? Because if they don't, and then they would get the work from this, publishing company.
Yeah, what the heck? There's a certain type of license that they have, that because a friend of mine has a karaoke company, and I think he had to have like a cabaret license or something like that in order to play karaoke versions of songs, so he didn't get sued. And I'm like, but these people authorize the recording of the karaoke versions of the song.
Yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, all the rights to do something with something that's copyrighted, they're all separate. It's yeah.
Wes, we had Yo-Yo
especially if you're starting to charge a cover charge to get in, because then you're doing it for commercial gain.
If there's money to be made, then yes, some people are going to come around. Yeah,
we had Yo-Yo on the show, did an interview with her, and she said, "All right, and I'm going to introduce my new song, blah 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 blah," and then we played it. The next day, we had takedown notices. I'm like, fucking the artist was here. She introduced the song.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying too many legal things. So did you win that? I'll just ask this. Did you fight?
I don't think we pursued it. I think we were just like, no,
we let that one go down because it was just in the live stream. Okay. Once we put the audio out, nobody said anything.
Right.
Yeah, no, we get all these BMG and WMG and Sony for like episodes we did 3 years ago.
Universal Music Group's a big one that hits us all the time.
And I get a notification saying, part of your show is muted in certain countries. Yeah. I'm like, okay, fine. You have to share revenue with this guy. Whatever. I'm not making any money anyway.
What's half a zero?
I was going to say nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
Yeah, we get those all the time. And I'm like, I send them the bill. I'm like, see this one? This one's from last night. See this one?
Your monetized your monetized video is sharing content. And I'm like, they think we make money off of this.
Stupid.
Might as well pay us in Monopoly money for what we get off of it.
Ridiculous.
So hip hop is a music built on beats and pieces lifted from other records.
Yes.
And as such, sampling has become a huge thing. But back then, suit against the Beasties, like you said, from the Paul's Boutique record, they got hammered with a couple of things from that. Stetsasonic, I guess, way back when, paid a flat fee of $3,000 to sample the bass line from Lonnie Liston Smith's Expansions for Talking All That Jazz.
Talking All That Jazz. They had a big issue with M2May too. Around that same time, because he was saying that rap was not music, and he didn't like people using his his stuff to make their own music with.
In the case of De La Soul, Tommy Boy worked out individual deals with Hall & Oates, Steely
For Say
Dan,
No Go.
and George Clinton for the use of their pre-existing works. Why they didn't do anything with the Turtles, I don't know.
Because they figured nobody was going to pay any attention to that.
Right. Like, are those guys alive?
Maybe.
Aren't they happy together or something? Leave them alone.
Clinton's deal for sampling of Funkadelics, Not Just Knee Deep on Me, Myself, and I was 1 cent per album and 1 2/3 cents per single, as well as half of the publishing royalties.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there you go. See, there's got to be some sort of payment here because that's.
So when Evan Cohen approached Tommy Boy about the Turtle sample, after 3 Feet High and Rising had been released, he was offered a flat fee of $1,000. Tommy Boy claimed that the use that De La Soul made of the sample is so different to the ear that there is no substantial similarity between the new work and the pre-existing one. Moreover, Tommy Boy's lawyer said that in asking for such outrageous damages, Flo and Eddie are taking the kind of position that, if adopted, generally would seriously hurt, if not kill, hip-hop outright.
John wants to know how much he got per single.
Per single. I think I only owned 3 singles in my life.
Look, I've got one. I can't access it right now from where I am, but I got one right here, and it's Terminator X.
In the Valley of the Jeep Beats?
No, it was the second group that he was. And,
okay.
This I can't remember what it was. Something of Panic. Anyway,
Right.
But yeah, I have a Terminator X single.
Well, the On the Edge of Panic is the song,
It's
right?
a song, right?
Yeah. I don't remember.
It was, but the Valley of the Jeep Beats was his first group, and then, well, on his own. But then he did another one. I don't remember who it was. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's sad that we're here because now again, you're never going to hear a Paul's Boutique. You're never going to hear it takes a nation of millions, unless folks don't actually. Because even if they could clear the samples, the amount that they use on those albums, or 3 Feet High and Rising, I don't think rises to those levels. There's so many layers in the other two albums.
Well, and that's a sign of both are Prince Paul.
Right.
That's the connection there. And so when the sampling is done at that level, you know it's Paul. So it's buried so deep. The source materials has been twisted so much. You shouldn't be able to pick it.
The big argument back then was, what is considered fair use as part of the fair use doctrine? How
let's talk about the Digital Millennium Copyright Act of 1993.
I mean, is one beat off of a James Brown record considered piracy?
Oh, the funky drummer.
I remember when we were kids, there were all these rumors. If it's under 12 seconds was the big one.
Yeah, I remember
like that. If it's less than a measure, the reality is you can use any fraction, and that's infringement. It doesn't matter how small it is.
Yep.
If Madonna lost a lawsuit for the horns on Vogue, bam, bam,
and that
which was a sample, which is interesting to me because I think it raises this other issue that there's so many reasons if sampling is important. First, it democratized music making for poor folks.
Yeah.
Right.
And people who cannot play instruments.
Yeah.
Or have access to instruments,
Right. But but then the choice of the samples that you use, there creates this like historical lineage, this like connection to what came before. Even if you don't know what songs are being sampled, you're getting a vibe, or, you're hearing what, preceded it, which I think is really super important.
Yeah.
But what you have folks, nickel and diming every little piece, even if you can't recognize it, if they can prove it's in there, it doesn't matter. It changed music. Now I know, Jamie, you love the new Arrested Development album.
Yes.
And my favorite songs off that album are the ones that are sample deep, and have scratching on top of it too. But quite honestly, I haven't dug into where they got some of their things. Some of them you can recognize.
Right. Yeah. There's a few that you,
I guess what I was going to say was, even if you could recreate something that sounds old, because you can get a band together, record it, put some dust and scratchy sounds on it, and it sounds like it's a sample. But I don't know what it is. As I've worked as a DJ, I've worked as a composer. There's something that you want to use the original thing. And you think about that horn from Vogue. Then They could have paid a guy to do that,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't have known. But they needed that one.
Well, yeah,
Which
the
brings
drums
me
from
to
the
my
Funky
next
Drummer.
question.
The drums from the Funky Drummer have been sampled so much. It's just insane. Anybody can play the drum.
How do cover bands get away with playing songs from these other bands?
Let's
ask the lawyer.
Question. Yeah, I can tell you. Yeah. So, and that's a great point to bring up because samples should be like that. So in copyright law, there is a provision for what they call a compulsory license. Anybody can sample anything. They don't have to ask for permission. But by law, you have to pay a certain amount per song, that's sold to the original artist. Now, in the copyright law, you're supposed to keep close to the original. So if it's a country song, you're supposed to make a country song.
Right.
We know that doesn't happen.
No.
But I've never known of anybody to go after somebody because you turned my country song into a dance track. But you're right, Bill. In the law, you can't stop people from doing that. And samples should be the same way. I'll give you your whatever that was, a cent and 2/3 of a cent.
Hell yeah.
As long as I could use that. But it's not like that. It should change.
Well, Daddy-O had the greatest thing. He goes, what we do, I classify as musical collage. It's the same thing Andy Warhol did to art. And again, art's the same way. Don't quite know what it is, but I know it when I see it. Can't define it, but I know it when I see it.
Oh, now I feel like a hypocrite because as much as I love sampling and everything I just said, I think Andy Warhol stuff is like too derivative. I know that's a Campbell Soup label. What did you do? You made it one solid color.
You changed the color of it.
You drew it?
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Andy Warhol was a little bit nuts, but it's just
but nobody else was drawing Campbell soup cans, so
no, or
avant-garde,
or avant-garde multi hot colors of Marilyn Monroe, four in a box. So, but the sampling thing, it's as we're talking. They talked to Hank Shockley about the sampling. He goes, "Why should I spend 8 days to get a snare drum that sounds like Phil Collins?" He
already did it.
He already did it. So you spend 12 seconds sampling a record that a guy spent 15 years breaking his neck to get that sound. That's not creativity, he says. If you want to be creative, hire the musicians and let them do the session. This was an old musician who said that to Shockley. And Shockley says, that's a loser attitude. There's a creative aspect in sampling. It's the difference between sampling and plagiarism.
Yeah. It's one thing to cut a sound. Like if I'm making a mixtape and I record part of somebody's song and then put something else with it, rather than taking that piece and modifying it in some way to fit into my new work. So it was your thing, but I've twisted it and hyped it up a little bit and did this. So it was yours and I've modified it, made it better. That's different than just, I'm going to record this piece here and I'm going to put it right in there as that wouldn't work. I can see people going after him for that.
So I like what you had talked about too, how it becomes almost a history lesson, because I love to go back if I hear a sample and try to find where it came from now. And of course there's the website, who sampled it or whatever. Right. But I will listen to some old, because I have the satellite, I have the 70s on a lot, and I'll hear things and be like, I know where that came from now.
I totally get that. I listen to Yacht Rock Radio every once in a while.
A lot of shit from Yacht Rock Radio ends up in hip hop shit.
Like an off the wall song that, I'm fairly well versed in like music from the 60s till 2000s. So I know a lot of those songs, but Yacht Rock they go deep cuts on some stuff, and I'll hear something. I'm like, did I change to Rock the Bells? What am I? And then I go, oh shit, that's right. Where they got that from.
I mean, who would have ever confused Michael McDonald with Warren G? But you get that?
Yeah. I was thinking Joe Cocker and Tupac.
Yeah,
that Joe Cocker. We talked about that Joe Cocker riff. Stuff, yeah. That Joe Cocker riff is in probably like 15 different songs.
Yeah.
When he died, we ended up picking up a lot of that. Joe Cocker is hip hop. What? No.
But this is what Daddy-O from
Friend of the show,
Stetsasonic
Daddy-O, yes.
said, he said, sampling gives young blacks a sense of their musical heritage. Kids never knew that Gene Knight made Mr. Big Stuff until Heavy D did it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, Mr.
Daddy-O
Big
at the
Stuff.
time considered digital samplers to be cultural memory banks and contended that hip hop was actually in the process of engineering reconciliation between R&B and hip hop.
Okay, that's
And I don't-
that's the word salad there.
Yeah, but I mean, I can see the bridge building between the two
Yes. Well, why didn't you say that?
because that's not what he said. Daddy-O used a lot of big words.
Yes.
You know, we are but humble pirates.
Yes,
but
that's Professor Daddy-O.
If I recall, this kind of has to do with what we were talking about the Grammys earlier with the hip hop category, where when hip hop was coming up, they were just put on the R&B chart, and so
Yes.
there was some tension between the two genres because they're both fighting for position on the same
On
chart.
the same chart,
When-
yeah.
Within their culture, they're like, we're not the same, you know. So maybe that's what some of the piece that sampling made.
That's why we're saying they need a contemporary hip hop chart now for all the 80s artists who are putting out new stuff. They shouldn't be on the same chart with Megan Thee Stallion and
no, because it's a completely
Ice Spice
different
or whatever. Yeah, so
Ice
R&B and
Spice.
hip-hop.
Bleh.
I think the best songs for me, among the best, are hip hop songs I love that sample another song that I also love. Like for me,
Yes.
that's like a home run.
yep.
All right, throw one out at me then.
The Cactus album, Third Base samples Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I love both those songs.
I like De La. Tell them what you say, Mace. Say no go. Get that Hall Notes. I love that one.
You know I love you better.
That's another one, right? Steely Dan? I mean, what?
Yeah, that's why that 3 Feet High and Rising was so far ahead of its time with the sampling.
Yeah, it's fucking Prince Paul, man.
Prince Paul was ahead
You
of the
need a
time.
Luden, but
And a haircut.
And we know it took them a while to get get it streaming. 3 Feet High and
Yeah.
Rising because they had to renegotiate some of these samples clearances.
Oh yeah,
because
Tommy
Yeah.
Boy was such a pain in the ass
Yeah.
about that whole thing
well,
too.
yeah.
The
And that's
most shocking, surprising, disappointing thing is the loss of the Eddie Murphy sample.
Exactly. That's what we were talking about.
yeah. Pumice and I, when it first came back out, Pumice sent me a message. He's like, "Did you hear?" I'm like, "What?" He said, "Go listen to it." And I listened to it again. And I'm like, anybody else ever get hit by a car? I'm like, it's not there. He's like, yeah. Eddie said no. I'm like, what? He said no go. I know.
I wonder if he even owns it. It might be the record label that
Yeah.
owns it.
Who knows?
Hey. So not only was sampling a big thing,
It was.
one of the pillars of hip hop, I guess, one of the is the clothing. Remember?
Yes.
We've talked about that. The polka dot rhythm is
Yes.
our next article. AFH talks about one of our favorites
Yes. Yes.
and a guy who doesn't get enough credit, I don't think, for how good he was
Yeah. Because
and still is.
and
Actually,
that's Biggie's fault.
Oh yeah.
it is Biggie's fault.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Kwame, who rocked the polka dots
He did.
with style and rhythm. God, I loved that record. We played.
Cousin of Vin Diesel.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Vin Diesel is actually I think he's in the rhythm video.
He is in the rhythm
No
video.
kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So Kwame, the boy genius, featuring a new beginning. The
A+, E sharp, C major.
C major. Welcome to the Bone Age.
You thought you was in the Bone Age. I love that album.
I love the album because Kwame could flow.
Yes.
But then you see that album cover. Nobody was dressing like him back
No,
then either. I
no.
mean, with the polka dots, and he had that really bold sense of style. And
Yeah.
it wasn't anything you and I could have pulled off.
Oh, hell no. I could shop at Oak
Yeah.
Tree, but I couldn't rock polka dots like that.
No.
And I didn't just realize now that look, like it seemed like he moved away from it as he moved on, but it was influential because now I'm picturing like Didn't the Fly Guys in Living Color dress like that?
Yeah.
That same style, and that was
huge.
It started with him, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, and when
Heavy
Biggie said
D's
he was played
dancers
out.
wore that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, right. That's probably who I'm thinking of actually.
Yeah, well, that's because Heavy D did the theme song to In Living
Right,
Color.
yep.
To In Living Color, yeah. But he said
Kwame was big though. Kwame wrote the rap for the song "Poison" by BBD.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
and the sample of Poison
Yeah, Cool G rap
was Cool G Rap. So
Yeah, no, he's like a super producer. He used to produce under the title K1 Million. He was huge, and he just put out new music this year.
I love that Different Strokes song.
Yes.
Holy cow. It's fantastic. It's got this kind of weird flow. It's kind of with the way he uses the lyrics. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And the sample. That's so cool. Yeah.
we played that as an old to the new.
Yes.
And I had to listen to it like 2 or 3 times because it just ends.
Well, yeah,
You know, right? You're thinking to yourself, okay, I want more of this. And then next thing you know, it's just done.
it's like less
And
than
I'm
2 minutes, but
Yeah, it's about a minute and I think, what did we say? A minute 53.
something like that. Yeah,
But he packs a lot of words in a minute and 53 seconds. Doesn't take a whole lot of break. But who else had crazy, unique style back then?
that was
Big Daddy Kane
of course, Kane.
with the colors and stuff, and
Yeah.
just being
Well
his.
dressed. Yeah.
I guess LL, you could say, had his own style. And if you ask him, he's the guy who put Jordans on the map in hip hop.
Yeah, He's
Which is not a
the
thing.
most
It's-
important rapper of all time. Is that what he said?
Yes, I believe that was the
Important,
exact
yeah.
words that we quoted him at like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. But no, Kwame had the blonde streak in his high top in the front.
Right.
That became his logo. Like now, if you see Kwame, it's like a circle.
And with that half fade,
Yeah.
looks like steps.
Yeah. He had was it Tap Money? Was that his DJ?
Yes.
Yeah. We had the Gumby.
The Gumby. So many people had the Gumby back
Yeah.
then.
But no,
Nobody-
Kwame was big when he had 2 albums that were both hits, and then he kind of disappeared. And I don't know if that's because the 90s happened and the whole feel of hip hop changed, or if it was just because of that Biggie record. You know?
Right.
Probably that Biggie record. That whole the Biggie and Puff, they squashed a lot of motherfuckers, man.
Well, yeah, because the West had taken over hip hop, and Biggie was supposed to be the New York savior to bring it back. And
I'm trying to think of like what, his style of, counter to what was just about to happen, but was happening a little bit, was obviously more whimsical and fun. And
yeah, Kid and Play.
Maybe the West Coast stuff and then the East Coast response kind of, left no space for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who continued doing that, sort of style into the 90s.
Like Jeff and Will, maybe.
That's
Jeff and Will, and then you had the Delicious Vinyl guys, Young MC.
Yeah, but that was still in the 80s, though. I mean,
yeah.
You didn't make it much past
What about
91,
Rob Bass
so-
and Easy Rock? They
That was
80s, yeah.
89, 88, 89. I don't know. I think you're right. I think it became more of, well, we got to talk more gritty and we got to talk, get our street cred. Nobody wanted to hear anything more about,
Sleeping with your mom's friend.
ain't gonna hurt nobody.
Yeah.
And then every song became about hurting somebody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Kid and Rock would have been, Kid and Play would have been a good example too. But you're right.
no, they were they had like 3 albums, I think they had, and then they tried to do all right, we're gonna get a little grittier and we're change our appearance, and Kid cut the high top and then they disappeared. I mean, they have
is
a
Will
podcast
aware?
now, but
Is Will aware about House Party? Who that was originally written for?
I don't know. Ask
I
him.
do
It's
know
right there.
that. Yes.
It was
Speaking
not
of-
Kid and Play.
No, it was Will Smith and
It was Jeff and Prince. Yep.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was written about the experiences of Groove v. Chill.
Which we found out by having
Groove on the show.
Groove on the show. Yeah. So everything kind of not really circle. It kind of figurated its way back around. And he's like, yeah, he wrote this about me was going to have them do it, but then they said no, and the network said no, and they wanted these guys. And just craziness.
Yeah. I think Dana Dane also fits into that Kwame Kid and Play.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good one because Dane was earlier too.
He was.
Yeah.
But he had that same, I'm
whimsical, not offensive,
right?
Just fun records.
Yeah.
Cinderfella Dana Dane. Who's going to get upset about that?
Yeah. I was talking to him a few months ago, and they're talking about making that into a movie, a TV movie, I believe. But
wow,
the story of Cinderfella Dana Dane.
The story of Cinderfella.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
I would definitely watch that. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we talk about here. The next article you've called 40 for 89.
A number, yes.
And this is, according to Hip Hop Golden Age, the top 40 hip hop albums of 1989.
A number.
Now, I can go from number 1 and on down, or we can go, let me go down to 40.
Whatever you got, Mr. Burgundy.
And see. Well, let's see what we've got. They've got honorable mentions, and I'm just going to go through the honorable mentions really quick.
Okay. Are you going to mention them honorably?
I will do my best.
Okay.
David Guppy.
Ooh, little redhead kingpin.
Redhead Kingpin, yes. Redhead Kingpin of the FBI, A Shade of Red.
I got a question about Redhead Kingpin. Why wasn't his song Do the Right Thing on
the theme song of Do the Right Thing?
Why was that not a thing? It was 1989, a number.
Probably the same reason that they picked the Fat Boys for Freddie instead of Will and Jeff.
I didn't go as well either.
Also on the honorable mention list, Dr. Ice, the Mike Stalker.
Friend of the show, Doc Ice.
Craig G,
and
the
UTFO.
Kingpin.
Craig G, the man who calls Plumbus Plumbus.
Plumbus, yes. Mellow Man Ace.
Ooh, Escape from Havana.
That's a good record.
Yeah.
Lawan Love.
That's a reach for me even.
I Still Feel Good. Hey, friend of the show, Freddie Fox.
Freddie Fox is here.
Heavy D, Big Time was released back then. Roxanne Shante, friend of the show.
Yes.
A record that you and I played, not as much as the first one. Sir Mix-a-Lot's Seminar.
Welcome to the seminar.
That should be in the top 40.
We played the shit out of Swass. Yeah. Steady B's going steady.
Ooh, Steady B, who's doing life in jail.
Here's one that Will mentioned before. DJ Chuck Chill Out and Cool Chip.
Yeah. Masters of the Rhythm. I've been trying to get that on vinyl for years. I keep getting the CD shows up. And a cassette shows up. I'm like, I'm getting that record. It's like a comic book cover.
Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince end in this corner. Chub Rock with Howie T.
And the winner is if he's with Howie T.
415.
415 because that's the only record of theirs I know.
Yep. Jazzy J.
Ooh, what's Jazzy J got?
Cold Chillin'. Divine Styler.
Of the Rhyme Syndicate?
Yes, with Word Power. Maestro Fresh West.
I don't think that should be on the list.
Well, it's honorable mention.
Okay.
That's why. Kings of Pressure.
Right.
2 Brown.
Doo-Doo Brown? What?
Honorable mention for As Nasty as They Want to Be.
Oh, that should be in the top 40.
That should be in the top 40.
Yeah,
and Breeze.
Ooh, MC Breeze.
The Young Son of No One. So number 40, King's Son.
Do you remember King's Son, Will?
I don't think so.
I would not be upset if you didn't.
I don't think so, no.
King's Son had one big song in the UMTV Raps era. It was called Hey Love. And it was King's Son and D Moet was his DJ. But if you listen to the what's the name of that album? Is it Christmas Rappin'? Or Christmas Rap? It's bugging me. I don't remember the name of the record.
I think it was Christmas Rappin'.
There's an album, and it's all Christmas songs by rappers in the 80s. And King's Son has a song on there called Christmas in the City. And if I could find my stupid playlist, I would play part of it for you. Oh, there it is. Shit.
I was going to say there's a Mr. Throwback Thursday Christmas playlist, believe it or not. Because we had done 9 Christmas albums on this show.
It's here somewhere. King Son, there it is. Or it's not.
Or it's not.
There.
Son, I just
There you
don't
go.
like
You would know his voice is why I
There's
was
something about Christmas when in the city. The ugliest places have now become pretty, colorful and decorated. Each year celebrated. Some of us are joyful, some are just frustrated. Here's the season for all to be jolly. A man on the corner.
Sounds a little like Rakim, doesn't it?
Huh?
Sounds a little like Rakim.
Yes, I could see that.
Number 39 on the list. The New Style.
Oh, that's not who they are.
Yeah.
That is not how you would know them. That would
No.
be Naughty by Nature, straight out of Dirty Jersey.
Back then, they were The New Style.
Yeah, they did that for
And-
one record.
The only person you could recognize off of that album cover is Vin.
Vinny.
He hadn't changed at all. He just got hair. That's the only thing that makes him different.
I think
With-
didn't KG have a high top in that one?
He did.
Yeah.
He did. And Tretch had a
Tretch.
sweater.
Yeah.
He was rocking a sweater. Name of the record was Independent Leaders. Number 48, Cool Mo D, Knowledge is King.
I go to work.
Yeah. That was a great record. With also had Let's Go on it from
did.
the
From the Nightmare on Elm Street
Nightmare on
5
Elm Street.
soundtrack.
Yep.
Right.
And then number 37, one of your favorites, Black Rock and Ron.
I love that Stop the
Can't
World
do
record.
me none. Yes.
That is one of those. I had it on cassette, and like I can probably bring up Black Rock and Ron about like 5 people who will know who the hell I'm talking about.
I don't. Yeah.
No,
I don't.
and again, you shouldn't really. It was a really good album, but they had like no promotion. They had a video on UMTV Raps for like a month.
Of You Can't Do Me
You can't
None.
do me none. Yeah, that and I think "Stop the World" might have been their other single off of there.
Yep. Well, that was also the title track. So
Yeah. Also, didn't they have "That's How I'm Living"? That's how I'm living. I think that was on there too.
yes, that was on there too. Number 40 or number 36 on the list, Vicious Beat Posse.
So I have no idea who these people are.
The name of the record was called Legalized Dope.
So for
It
me to say I have no idea who they are, and they make this list, that is a serious surprise. I mean, there's some
forgotten
people I
crew?
go, yeah, I think I remember. No, never heard of these people ever.
A forgotten crew from California,
Yeah, I
Vicious
just said I
Beat
forgot
Posse,
them.
dropped an album in 1989 and disappeared right after. Although they were from California, the album has more of a New York vibe to it. No gangster rap, but mix of party and positivity vibes. Not an essential album, but worth checking out anyway.
Not an essential album, but they're number 36 on our list.
Right. Yeah. Get 2 Live Crew in there. Swap them out.
Seriously, what are we doing?
Number 35, Def Jeff.
Ah, from Delicious Vinyl Records.
Just a poet with a soul.
That was a single too, wasn't it? Just a Poet.
Yes. Just a poet. Yes. Number 34, Cool C.
Also in jail on death row.
Yes.
The Hilltop Hustlers.
Because he got a habit.
Yeah. Now him and Steady B robbed a bank in Philly.
Wow.
And then Steady B was the getaway driver, and Cool C ended up shooting the first female police officer to die in the line of duty in Philly, and he's been on death row ever since. He's gotten, I think, three different stays.
And you wrote a song about it. Here it goes.
Yes.
Number 33, and I thought this would be higher. Loked After Dark.
Yeah, from that guy from Ace Ventura. Yeah.
We just talked about this record last week. Tone Loc.
You got
The
that cheap.
Jazz.
Ooh, from Jazzo.
Word to the Jazz at number 32.
That's pre-Hawaiian Sophie, isn't
That's
it?
pre-Hawaiian Sophie.
Yeah.
Yes, the Jazz or Jazzo was the mentor of Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And then number 31, Steezo.
Ah, Steezo was a dancer for EPMD. I remember that.
Yes. Crazy Noise was the name
And
of the record.
His video, he was in a helicopter. And like the helicopter landed on a roof, and he jumped out on the roof of this building and started dancing with these other guys. It was a really strange video. I remember
Number
weird
thir-
things, right?
Number 30 is a really weird album. Willie D
Speaking of dirty records.
featuring the Ghetto Boys, spelled
With the H?
Ghetto before they changed to Geto. So yeah,
Willie
Willie
D's got some nasty lyrics.
I've done a couple of them, I'm sure. You're gonna love number 29. It would be the Syndicate Sniper,
Donald D.
Donald D with Notorious.
So Donald D is from the Bronx, but he was in the Rhyme Syndicate with Ice-T. And it seemed like everybody who was in the Rhyme Syndicate was from out west, but it had him and Everlast with a mullet. Really? What was that song? What you want to do?
Yeah, what you want to do off of the
Party.
off of Ice-T's record,
the Iceberg.
Freedom of Speech. Yeah, the Iceberg. So Donald D.
He had a mouse in his house, so he bought a cat. The cat ran away, so now there's a rat. What did he say? He said
That
he-
one rat
he-
brought many others
he
back.
chased out the rat with his baseball bat, but that one rat brought many others back. So now what do you say? So now I feed the rats crack. That's how that.
Yeah,
one
that's
ends.
how he ended it.
Yeah, quality lyrics there.
Although they say on here that this album has some really dope tracks and the best intro ever.
What was the intro?
I don't remember the intro to this.
I'm not going to play it either because it's Donald fucking D.
Number 28, Just Ice.
Ooh, the desolate one.
Yeah.
I love some
Good
Just
record.
Ice. Just Ice, to me, is the original gangster rapper. It's
Even more so than Schoolie?
I think so. Schoolie put out a record. I mean, he put out multiple records, but he put out a record, and PSK was like the only gangster rap
Yeah.
song on there. Just Ice's whole fucking attitude through his first album was, "You will not fuck with me because I am a gangster." I mean, like, he was. I wouldn't mess with that dude today.
I don't think I would either.
But for all the pioneers, he's going way back.
Number 27, 3 Times Dope
Also out of Philly.
with original styling.
That had
Number
Funky Dividends
it did.
and The Greatest Man Alive.
Number 26, Kwame the Boy Genius,
Ah, look at
featuring
that.
A New Beginning, which had Boy Genius, The Mic Is Mine, The Rhythm, and The Man We All Know and Love.
It's the man
That
we
was
all
my
know and
favorite.
love. That's my favorite too. I think his name is Kwame.
I had a job the summer that it came out. I had it on tape, or I recorded it to tape. That one song, I just played it over and over on my way. Rewind it, do it again.
Bill had his own telephone and answering machine in his bedroom, and I would call and leave messages about the Bone Age.
You also were the mad jokester for about a month.
It'd be, "Welcome to the Bone Age." Ah, you thought you was in the Bone Age. Check it out. I'm not here right now. So leave your name, your number.
Here's a name I'd completely forgotten about. Awesome Dre.
Easy. Detroit.
You Can't Hold Me Back. You remember the record, the album cover for this? You got Awesome Dre looking down at 2 guys on their knees, one wearing a BK suit, one wearing a troop suit.
Well, the shoes ain't nothing without the BK button, man.
I had BKs, man. You remember that?
And who did the commercials for British Knights? Oh, I loved it. Neither one of you know.
I'm drawing a blank.
That would be the voice of one Cool Mo D.
Don't remember that.
Yeah. Hold on.
Number 24, Tough Crew.
Oh, Tough Crew was out of Philly too, aren't they?
Back to Rec Shop. Yes, they were. 23, good record. One of our favorites. Special Ed.
Youngest in charge.
Youngest in Charge. Yes. With I Got It Made.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I got to put this up
Are
here.
you going to find that BK ad.
Of course I am. That's what I do here, and then I just edit shit out later. But I may not. I may leave it in here. Who knows?
The shoes that are hot, the shoes that are wild. They're called British Knights. How you like me now? You should try some. Go out and buy some British Knights, cause the shoes are so fly. Some people wear British Knights cause they got style. How you like me now? British Knights.
I don't remember that ad. Otherwise, I would have known from the How You Like Me Now
Yeah.
thing.
BK button.
At Foot Locker and Lady Foot Locker stores.
Ooh, at Foot Locker and Lady Foot Locker stores. Look out.
Ooh, yeah.
Is that considered part of the canon in his beef disc records with LL Cool J?
Well, LL introduced Jordans to the world of hip hop, and Mo D introduced British Knights, I guess. I don't know.
Now, going back to Special Ed with Youngest in Charge, he was only 16 when he made that record.
Yes, there was a lot of people who were like 16 to 18 that were putting out hip hop in the 80s because, you know, it was the music of the kids, which is why we don't understand it anymore.
Number 22, and I kind of thought this would be a little higher. Queen Latifah, All Hail the Queen.
Yeah,
That's an incredible record. She thought that Ladies First was going to be it. Like it was going to bring women all together, and
Yeah, and it didn't
it
happen
didn't
that way.
do that. That's why she had to come back later and say, "Who you calling a bitch?"
Which was a much better song.
Yeah, "Wrath of My Madness" is my favorite song on that record.
We talked about this man before. Some people say the original gangster rapper, number 21, Schoolie D. Am I black enough for you? And if you look at the album cover, yes, he's a very, very dark-skinned man.
Third album or something like that.
Fourth. Yeah.
I don't look at the notes. I don't.
Much of the same vein as his previous three. You know, that's one thing about Schoolie D. You buy a Schoolie D album, you know what you get.
Hell yeah. Actually, I've got a Schoolie D 12-inch here. That is the real hardcore featuring Ice-T, intro by Chuck D, scratches by Sid Wilson. This came out in 2019, independently released by Schoolie D.
No shit.
Yeah. I got it from Schoolie D.
Number 20, Grandmaster Melly Mel and the Furious Five with Piano.
All right, this is rough. You're gonna take Grandmaster Melly Mel, well, not Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, because that was only a one and done technically.
Right. Yep.
And still call it the Furious Five. This is the Grandmaster Melly Mel and the Furious Five that were actually in Beat Street, where you couldn't identify anyone except for Mel and Scorpio.
Right.
They had like half the village people, the guy with the headdress on. And,
Right.
I don't know. You're like, who are these people? But yeah.
The only thing I remember about that guy was his first name was Felipe. I don't know why I know that, but the Indian guy was actually a guy named Felipe.
Oh, the one from the village people, not the one from
Yes,
Grandmaster
the guy
Melly Mel.
from the village people.
For Beat Street. The greatest Christmas movie of all time, Beat Street.
Yeah.
Number 19, back to the delicious vinyl. Young MC.
I would say that's
Stone
who it had to be
Cold
because
Ryman.
you've already done Tone Loc and Def Jeff, and I think that's the only three artists that were on Delicious Vinyl.
Yeah.
But this was Stone Cold Ryman, of course.
Know How is the best song on that one.
I would agree with that.
Love the use of the Apache.
Yes.
Number 18. You and I played the shit out of this record. Chill Rob G.
Ooh, Ride the Rhythm?
Ride the Rhythm.
Not Snap.
The original. Yeah. Let's talk about the power, shall we? Snap sampled the entire song.
Yeah, it wasn't a sample.
They re-recorded it.
And
Yeah.
wasn't
Well,
Snap,
first they sampled it.
Yes.
And then they re-recorded it. Yeah.
it wasn't Snap like an electro band or something.
They were two German DJs.
Yeah. And then they said, hey, what was the rapper? Was it Turbo B or something like that? It was some weird dude who just disappeared into the ether.
My favorite thing about that whole thing is that they both say copywritten lyrics, so they can't be stolen.
They can be borrowed and repurposed, but they can't be stolen. Yeah, if they all snap. Yeah, no,
I will attack, and you don't want that.
Still waiting.
Yep.
Number 17, Biz Markie.
Yeah.
The diabolical Biz Markie.
Yes.
As said on the album.
Yeah, Biz
with
never
the
sleeps.
Biz never sleeps.
So Biz hated Just a Friend. Like to the point like Daylight hates Me, Myself, and I.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We hate that fucking song.
But yeah, no, Biz hated. And like,
Just
It's interesting because, you know, the thing that's similar about them is, well, I guess for both of them, they're different than their other songs in their catalog.
Right.
But that's probably not it, right? It's probably how huge they came, how crossover they were.
Right.
That bug that made them feel
In a
weird
genre
about
where
it.
you didn't want to cross over
Yeah.
because you were looked at as soft.
Right. Yeah.
But
I thought of this group, number 16, yesterday. I was in the city, and we walked down to a Christmas display, and it was, let's take us back to the old school.
man, nice and smooth.
Yeah, we were at Union Square. So Nice and Smooth with Nice and Smooth. The album that had
Funky for You.
Yes.
Funky for You, yes.
And what song's
And-
not on there, but is the B side to that 12-inch?
No Bones and Ice
No
Cream.
Bones and Ice Cream, which is my favorite Nice and Smooth
No
song.
matter
but
how
you
many
can't
times
talk about
the
it with
ball
people.
bounces, there's still no Bones and Ice Cream.
And now Nipsey
And that's how
Hussle.
we also found out that Dizzy Gillespie actually did play the sax.
Yes. Talking to Smooth B, yeah.
Because I was like, Dizzy Gillespie was a trumpet player. He goes, funny story. Dizzy's son told us that he also played the saxophone.
His grandson, yeah. He said, I'm about to bake your noodle.
Here's a band that I never would have put it this high because I don't hardly remember him. Low Profile.
Oh, that was Dub C. With
Before he
DJ
formed the
Aladdin.
Mad Circle. Yeah.
who's a DMC world champ, I think, at the time. DJ Aladdin.
Aladdin's on a rampage. Pay your dues. All sorts of stuff on there.
Yeah, it
I
was-
just wouldn't have put it that high.
No, that came out. I think Aladdin won the year before or the year after DJ Miz won, because then Freshco and Miz got together because Freshco won for MC and Miz won for DJ, and they formed a group, went out together. I think this is the year before that.
Number 14, MC Light.
That's a rock,
Eyes on This.
which is possibly my favorite Light record.
With
Cha 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 and
Yeah.
Cappuccino.
Hot Damn Hole. Here we go
Shut
again.
the fuck up.
Yeah.
Light, who we've always said is on our Mount Rushmore of MCs, not just female MCs,
Yeah,
but
not-
MCs.
Yeah, I think you put KRS, Kane, Light, and Rakim. I can't find a fourth male rapper to put over Light in that era.
Number 13 on this list, I think you'll wish this was higher. Gangstar.
89 is No More Mr. Nice Guy.
No More Mr. Nice Guy. With These Are the Words That I Manifest.
I Manifest. That's probably my favorite Gangstar song.
Just like every Gangstar song is my favorite Gangstar song.
Yeah, I was going to say, whatever one is playing at the time is Jamie's favorite Gangstar song.
That's what it's got. There's
A
DJ
lot for me is what songs have scratching in it.
and that's Premiere.
Well, that's the beauty of Premier. And you can hear it even now when he guests on other things.
He's the king of the scratch chorus.
We talked about it, and you talked about it with your son. There are certain people you can recognize from their production right away, and certain scratches you hear, and you're like, "Yep, that's a Premier scratch."
It's like being able to identify a guitarist.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, I can identify an Eric Clapton. I can identify a BB King right away. Hell, I can even identify Willie Nelson by the way he plays a acoustic.
Yeah,
But-
Premiere and Pete Rock stick out. RZA's sounds stick out. But yeah, no, Premiere is the king of the scratch chorus.
Number 12, the Cactus album.
May have heard about that.
Base.
Yeah, you got a few of those in here, don't we?
I like Three Hard Dicks a lot.
Yeah, that's
Also notable on that record for the first appearance of KMD's Zev Love X before he was known as MF Doom.
yeah.
Right. Yep.
I almost picked up the Black Bastards album KMD on Record Store Day.
Number 11 on this list, Walking with a Panther.
I fucking hate that record.
Yeah, I don't care for it.
It's there's like one decent song on that.
Don't
record.
say Cali. Don't say Cali.
I would
not
say
it.
Gets no rougher.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
All right.
Was it gets no or I would have liked dropping them if they didn't completely botch the beat at the end of it.
Yeah.
No, Cali was radio friendly.
But it had Martha Quinn in the video.
And that makes
MTV VJ Martha Quinn.
that makes all the difference. Number 10, the Jungle Brothers.
Ooh.
Done by the Forces of Nature. Mm-hmm.
That's where they were doing their own dang.
Yes, they were doing their own dang. That's right. You get caught doing your own dang when you're 13, you get in trouble. Big Daddy Kane at number 9. It's a Big Daddy thing.
What was that? It was Warm It Up Kane on that one?
Yep. And Smooth Operator. Number 8. Pretty good showing for this one. The Iceberg.
Ooh, Call Me Ice, but just the iceberg.
There's so many good ones on that record, too.
I think one of my favorites on that one is Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon's good.
Lethal Weapon's my mind.
You played yourself.
Yes.
I loved You Played Yourself.
How can I be damned? Oh, that's
And then, of course, What You Want to Do.
Party.
That's where we heard of Nat the Cat the first time.
Shakel Shabazz.
Go, girls. Cold Cash on the mic, Shakel Shabazz.
Supreme
the Lord, the G.O.D. Down with the Syndicate Posse.
It's you, the rules without it, too. Yeah.
Mathematics in effect. It's time for school. Number 7, Ghetto Boys. Grip It on that other level.
Yeah, that was.
And again, spelled with the H in it.
Yes, because that was their first record, right?
Mm-hmm. No, second record. But the first one with the real lineup of Scarface, Willie D, and Bushwick Bill.
Yeah. And Ready Red.
Ready Red, yeah. Because that one had Mind of a Lunatic on it.
It had the original version of Scarface, too.
Mm-hmm.
Before we got into Mr. Scarface.
Number 6 on the list. Boogie Down Productions. Ghetto Music, the blueprint of hip hop.
Yes, Jay-Z. There was an album called Blueprint before you did it. That had Jack of Spades.
That had Jack of Spades and You Must Learn. Bo, bo, bo.
No, I remember.
Why is that? That was another one that was on.
Yeah, there was a big deal for me when Jack of Spades came out because Boogie Down Productions is now on a movie soundtrack.
Right.
You know, it was, quite the movie, but it was a Keenan Ivory Wayans jam.
Yeah.
Number 5, EPMD, friend of the show, Eric Sermon.
Yes.
With Parrish, with Unfinished Business.
That's got So What You Saying,
which is my favorite EPMD song of all time.
It's also got Broken Snapping Necks.
Yes. Number 4, Cool G Rap and DJ Polo.
Ooh,
and you got to say it the right way.
With the lisp.
Road to the Witches.
Yes.
You got to say it with the lisp.
And that also has Poison on it.
Poison. Yes.
That's the one. Yeah.
Number 3 on the list. The DOC.
Okay.
No one can do it better.
So, all praise due to Illmatic. It is between this album and The Great Adventures of Slick Rick for me as far as the greatest debut
record
in hip hop. I think Illmatic is only considered that because he's got 900 super producers on the record.
Yeah. It's a great record, but
Yeah, the DOC.
I agree
is
with you.
just-
I think it's between DOC and Slick Rick.
Yeah, the DOC
It's
is just
Funky
Dre.
Enough was a great track on here.
Yeah, it's Dre and DOC. That's it. There
Mm-hmm.
isn't anybody else there until the motherfucking grand finale.
Number 2, Paul's Boutique.
And they're in Brooklyn.
And they're in Brooklyn, yes.
Yeah. Let's go right.
What's your
Hell yeah.
favorite track off of Paul's Boutique?
Mine?
Wow.
They list 4 of them on here, and it's none of the ones they list. That's mine.
Tough.
I lean towards Shake Your Rump because it was,
Shake Your Rump was a fun track, though.
and it was a funny video.
Yeah.
And that bass
Yes.
rattling your car.
Shake Your Rump.
I think, wow, that's tough, man. That's tough.
I wanted, if you want a bass that rattled your car, see if I could just play the intro to it and see if you can recognize it.
No, all we have
High
is
Plains
Drifter.
Drifter.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yep. There's so many good ones. It's impossible.
Yeah.
One of the things.
Hey
about that-
Ladies was a great track, too, because
Yeah, but it is, and it's probably the weakest one of
It is.
great tracks. I love Eggman.
Yes.
Eggman was great.
Johnny Royale.
I mean, that
Johnny-
whole run, the way they run into each other on the first side, especially.
Sequencing, man.
Yeah.
It's a lost art.
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego.
Oh, another yes.
And one of the greatest titles ever, B-Boy Bouillabaisse. Yeah, just a classic record.
The only thing I really don't like on it is what comes around. Goes
I didn't like
around.
that one either. That,
Yeah, that's it's pretty short though. So
Yeah.
at least that's got that going for it.
Number 1 on the list.
All right.
What haven't I mentioned yet? And we've talked about this record already.
3 Feet High and Rising.
Yeah,
There you
Yeah, I
go.
said we talked about it like 38 times.
The magic number. Say no go. I know.
What's the big sample on I Know? I know there is. It's a Yacht Rock sample.
Yes, it's a Yacht Rock sample.
isn't that?
Hold on. Hold up here.
I know sampled.
Greetings, girl.
Oh, that's got
Peg.
Otis Redding.
Otis Redding.
Yeah, Otis Redding and Steely Dan's Peg.
That's the
Oh,
one I was
we were
thinking.
just talking about that.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was I Know for some reason.
Yeah, because that one had the old
See, Catnip.
whistle from
All right.
Dock of the Bay. But if it wasn't,
Why
for
would I
how
say it
many
was?
years? How many years did it take us to find out what Touchette Lily Poo meant?
Well, the record came out in '89, and I think
And we
I got
found
my
out
shirt
what last year. Because if you remember the intro to that, the 4 questions
Right.
that they ask on the game show.
Yep.
I'm going to ask an amount of 4 questions, and you'll try to answer them correctly. Now, you out there in the audience can answer along with them.
No, I
How many
couldn't.
feathers are on a Purdue chicken? How many fibers are intertwined in a shredded wheat biscuit? What does touche et lele poo mean? How many times did the Batmobile catch a flat? Now that we know the
So those are the questions.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
And what
The
does
answer's
Touchette Lele Poo mean?
Something backwards or something
It
like
is.
that it was?
It is something backwards, and it took us forever to figure it out. Touchette Lele Poo is shut the hell up backwards.
Yep. I got a T-shirt from De La, and that's what it says on the back. It's got the 3 Feet High and Rising logo on the front, and on the back it says Touchette Lele Poo. And I looked at it, I was like, holy shit.
Oh, he was looking in the mirror over it.
To the point where he called me at work and sent me a picture. He goes, "We know what it means." I'm like, "What are you fucking talking about?" And he sends me the picture. I'm like, "Touche et Lily Poo, and shut the hell up backwards."
But yeah, never in my life would I have figured that out if I didn't see it in writing.
Oh.
Nope. So that is the 40 hip hop albums, according to Hip Hop Golden Age, from 1989.
A number.
A number. Of course, we can't get out of hip hop headlines without talking about the reason why we say 1989, a number. And it's the reason you're wearing the hat that you're wearing, I would assume.
That's right.
And that would be Fight the Power.
You may have heard this song before.
The greatest second draft in the history of music, according to You Discover Music, was originally supposed to be a Public Enemy-led jazz revamp of Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Well, I would have hated that.
I would have hated that too.
Lift every voice and yeah, boy. No, it's not going to work.
Spike Lee had composer Terrence Blanchard on deck, but Hank Shockley of the Bomb Squad said no.
He said that would be yeah.
Because how can you have that on the same records from the people who brought you Bring the Noise and Night of the Living Bassheads and Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos? But instead, Chuck D drew upon his days as a youth listening to the Isley Brothers, who had a protest era song, Fight the Power. And he said that was the first time he'd ever heard a curse word in music.
Because he got all his records from Kmart, and they had the clean versions.
Chuck felt it was way past time for a song to address all the bullshit going down. So, yeah, Fight the Power, of course, opens with a quote from Chicago lawyer and activist Thomas TNT Todd about Vietnam deserters who would rather switch
than fight.
And it just goes right in from there. And then I can't hear that beginning without seeing who's supposed to be Rosie Perez doing that god awful dance during the credits.
Rosie.
Yeah, she's with the Flex Night.
With her
That's
boxing
all I can
gloves.
think of. With her boxing gloves. Yeah.
So we're talking about Public Enemy. Let's jump from 1989 to 2024 real quick. Did you see the news about Flavor Flav being escorted out of the Backstreet Boys dressing room?
Yes.
Because NBC didn't want him there?
NBC didn't want him there after fucking featuring him all throughout the Olympics on NBC, mind you.
Yeah. Right.
But they kicked him out of the Backstreet Boys dressing room
Friends
at the
of his
fucking Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting.
Yeah.
So, and NBC does some really stupid shit sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, it's just weird, because since he's been clean the past however many years now, Flav is like super positive and like out there enjoying his life and making other people's lives better. That's like what Flav does now. And for him to, as Bill said, pretty much hype up your Olympics for, to make people watch water polo. Right. And for him to be there to see friends of his, Backstreet Boys, and for you to escort him out saying, no, NBC doesn't want you here.
Well, I also just saw a tweet today that Public Enemy is going to be one of the opening acts for Guns N' Roses on their latest tour.
Oh, wow.
So
Axl should not perform.
No, but I also saw a picture of Iggy Pop performing without his shirt on the other day, and he's 77 motherfucking years old.
Iggy Pop owns a shirt, man. It's like Henry Rollins doesn't own shoes. There are certain things you just have to accept.
Iggy Pop looked like E.T. in that picture with the way his belly was sticking out.
That man has just been rib cage for his entire life.
Pretty much. But just Fight the Power now, even if you... I mean, the song came out, of course, 1989. It's 2024. That song still hypes the shit out of me whenever I hear it.
Yeah.
Yep. It is a regular rotation on a playlist of mine. In fact, the playlist on Spotify I have is called Fight the Power playlist.
Nice.
So I think it was a good choice to put De La Soul as the #1 album of the year. But man, Fight the Power might have been the song of that year. And because it still resonates now.
Yeah, and what a movie.
What? Do the Right Thing?
Hell yeah.
Oh, one of the greatest movies ever made, I think.
Yeah, like I said, which you can still watch today and not have to explain to people what was happening during the time because they can watch it today and associate it today.
we are way over our time limit for hip hop headlines. So
it happens.
What do we want to do a record with Will?
That's up to Will.
Do we want to do the one and done or the record of the week? I think we should do the record of the week because you talked about how gangster that fucking record was.
Yeah, we can do one record.
Okay. We're going to take our first break of the evening. And when we come back, I think we're going to go right to the record of the week. Sound good?
Yes.
So when we come back to Mr. Throwback Thursday, episode 567, it is time for the record of the week. Come back and join us.
Yo, what's up? This your boy Uncle Luke, and you're listening to my boy Jamie and Billy on Mr. Throwback Thursday. But you know, I gotta say this. These boys be talking some real good things on Throwback Thursday, so make sure y'all check them out. It's your boy Uncle Luke. I holla.
Welcome back, Mr. Throwback Thursday, episode 567. And it is Billy with Jamie. And we are here for the record of the week. The record of the week, 1989.
Number.
Running 38 minutes and 40 seconds long on Fresh and Sleeping Bag Records.
It used to be one of my favorite record labels.
Right, yeah. Me too.
Produced by KRS-One. And the artist himself. This is the third studio album by Just Ice, and it's called The Desolate One. And I have 9 tracks on this.
I also have 9 tracks on this, so that's good.
Track number 1, and John's not going to like it. DJ Introduction's not going to like it. But track number 1 is the title track, The Desolate One.
Okay, this beat has been put together for J-U-S-D-I-C-E. Boogie Down Productions, better known as BDP. This beat has been put together by the programming chemist DJ Dot. And of course, it has been produced exclusively by yours truly, the scientist, KRS-One. And this beat is for Just Ice. It's just getting Willie hear this.
So over here, which most people can't see because it's covered by our faces in the corner. So you see over here, it says composer Lawrence Parker. Now, everybody knows KRS goes by Chris, but his name is Lawrence Krishna Parker. It's just very strange to see it listed as Lawrence Parker ever. Right. Useless information. Sorry.
Track number 2.
His other brother Kenny's much darker. By the way.
He is.
I thought his other brother ICU was
yes.
much darker.
Oh, is that
He's
it?
got a brother.
Yeah.
He's got a brother Kenny.
Kenny Parker.
Right.
Yes.
That's Kenny Parker. His other brother ICU is much darker. Such a great record. Track number 2, And Justice for All.
It's a Metallica record?
Allegiance to the mind of the youth in Afro-America. And in the public, BDP stands one crew, undefeated, with KRS and Justice for All.
The original gangster hip-hop in the studio. Get it from my man ICU is in the place. My man KRS-One, the blast master, the scientist, the producer of them all. And all the mix right about now, my man, the D-Nice, the nicest of the night.
D-Nice. So this is basically a BDP record.
Basically.
Where Just Ice does most of the rap.
Yes.
He's got D-Nice. He's got KRS-One. I'm sure Miss Melody,
DJ
Nick
Doc
Boo around there.
They're all down with us, you know.
Yes, I've heard that.
Because making funky music is a must. Track number 3, Hard Head.
Just Ice. Just Ice.
Sure, that's not a sample.
But was it cleared?
People don't listen. Primitive thinking. Thoughts start shrinking. Blinded by a blink and a shudder of an eye. The blabber of a mouth. So just talk what you know. Cause your ignorance is showing. Being hard-headed is dangerous. Don't try to hang with us. Because you might get bust with the lyrics from just. If you want to move fast up here.
He just sounds like a dude you don't want to fuck with.
Track number 4, Welfare Recipients.
Sounds like the drums on a Casio keyboard.
I'm not damning no one, but the story must be told about how you collect till you're 90 years old. You stand online, get your butter and flour. Don't forget the cheese. Damn, that's another hour.
Look, I will tell you to this day, that is the greatest grilled cheese in the world.
What, the government cheese?
Yep, and that cardboard with the gray top box.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, Ronnie Mexico would tell you that.
It is,
He
though.
put up a picture of it the
I
other
know.
day. Track number 5. My touch da just.
That is a thing.
That is a thing.
Not touch the just. Don't fight, no fuss, cause them lyrics will cuss. Check it out. Hey.
It's like every reggae song in the 80s.
Yeah. Complete with the Casio keyboard on the 2s and 4s on every beat.
And KRS does that bitty bye bye, right?
He does.
The version is, yeah.
Yeah, this really does sound like a BDP record.
Well, Just Ice was part of BDP as far like the extended family, like Mad Lion was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he was not mentioned in the being down with us.
Just Ice and Mick Boot are down with us. I think he was mentioned.
Yeah. But not
track
as DJ
number
DMX.
Track number 6. It's Time I Release.
See, I don't have that. I have In the Jungle.
Finally.
Oh, okay. So I have that as 7. In the Jungle. Yes, finally. You know, that could
Finally he releases.
In the Jungle.
I've been holding it all this time.
And that's where rainforests come from, kids.
Here we go. Dang. At the end of that.
That is a classic TR-808 drum machine too. A whole lot of that bo 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 sound too.
So we're 30 seconds in and there is no lyrics.
Is your next track Hijack?
It is.
Okay. So Hijack.
Every gangster rap album should have a flute.
A funky flute?
Yes. The hip hop harmonica.
And a sexy sax?
All the MCs biting 4 days and weeks.
Those are real things on a record, by the way.
Write your own rhymes. Don't
Is that
bite.
Jimmy Z?
Jimmy Z. Track number 8 for you.
Yep.
Ram Dance Hall Session featuring
Dance Hall. Yes.
Featuring Heavy D.
Yeah.
Just Ice, I believe. Ease up.
The button diddly dee. It's in there. It's a written lyric.
That's almost as good as
If you rhyme it to Ramadan session. Rhyme it if you rhyme it to Ramadan session. All of the people come and let the start.
that's almost as good as James Brown going, "Hey, I need a lyric here." Hey, that's good. Now I think you've got It's Time I Release as your last track. I had it as 6. I don't
I had
know
to
why.
wait till the end. That's why it's time.
That's why it's time to release.
Can't
Makes
release
perfect
until
sense.
it's over.
That would be premature jocularity.
Yes, it
wouldn't
would.
Sounds like BDP meets Mighty Mighty Boss Toads.
No game. It's something for the brain that should remain.
I'm thinking he could do this. Like, he could have done this with the Beach Boys.
Probably could have.
Man, turning this into a surf rock song.
It's a mother, man, and it's a hell of a way to express yourself.
Fat Boys did the Beach Boys thing.
Yeah, I know. This would have worked better.
That would have been copyright infringement. That was The Desolate One by Just Ice. your record of the week for episode 567, the 1989 a number episode. I've got no singles off of this.
I believe that.
But I do have some charting action.
Oh?
The weekly charts, the U.S. top R&B hip-hop albums, this thing peaked at number 19. Actually made the year-end chart, too, if you can believe that shit.
I can believe that.
U.S. top R&B hip-hop album, year-end 1989, peaked at 79, a number.
Those are all numbers.
Yes.
For your record of the week, by Just Ice, the Desolate One. It is now time for what everybody came for.
Yes.
And I'm sure this is what Will has been waiting for since
time for you to release.
It's time to release. Yes. It is time for Bill Reads Lyrics.
It is.
So would you like to play the intro and bring us in?
I could probably
since we don't
do
have
that.
to take a break
We
for
don't
it.
need a break. Yeah, let me throw this intro here.
But it starts with Bill.
Bill S. Preston. It's called reading. Top to bottom, left to right. Group words together as a sentence. Take Tylenol for any headaches. Midol for any cramps.
Most people probably don't listen to the lyrics, but they should.
Welcome to Bill Reads Lyrics.
Hello. This is Bill Reads Lyrics. It is an educational discussion of artistic expression and creativity of modern lyricists. Bill may recite explicit or offensive language. Professional supervision is suggested for sensitive listeners. The average views and opinions within these lyrics are not necessarily those of Mr. Throwback Thursday or its hosts, and will be in the area of 160 WPMs. We hope that you will find our presentation precise, humor heavy, and just right. Thanks.
Now that we've been properly disclaimed.
Yes. So I'm sure you're going to find something real juicy from 1989 to throw at me.
I have no idea. Maybe if I would look around, I would send this over to you in the private chat, so Will can also pull it up if you'd like to and follow along.
Oh, the aforementioned Just Ice.
Yes.
And this is a different record from the one we did.
Yes.
Where am I going?
What I can only figure to be verse 2.
All right, I'm scrolling down after beatboxing.
Yes.
Does it start with "Here We Go" or "I Hate"?
No. Hold on. Yes.
I hate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're going to do that and what I can assume to be the chorus.
Oh, well, of course. Yeah, you can't not have that. So let's just disclose first, because we disclaimed, now we disclose.
Yes.
We offered Will the opportunity to do this. and he politely passed.
Yes, because if you were to be here without Bill, you would have to do it, because the co-host does it. That's the job. But since he's here, you can just follow along. So
You
with
just
no
sit there
type of
and
ado,
eat your popcorn and be like, what is wrong with him?
Sesame Street, Grover, Stiley, whether nearer or further, we will cue the motherfucking piano.
Now I have to do it all over again. Interrupt Ben to get his word in. Ben, I know you're getting it and don't want to stop. That's right. But here's how she just licked my cock. She swallowed it inch by inch. She swallowed it, but it did not pinch. She swallowed every inch of it down. She took the juice and she tossed it around. She didn't even make the slightest frown. I said, let's do it over. And she said, I'm down. Now you know what I'm up against. this lunatic, idiotic, without one drop of sense, I said, puff the knob, because that's where there's potential. So just for the record, keep her name confidential. I did things that I never did before. I stroked her standing up, then put her neck on the floor, rocked her all the same. Then I dicked her in the bed. Then I fucked the bitch just standing on her head. Words she did utter seemed kinda cautious. She used 9 rubbers. Hit it. This girl is a slut. She got crabbies up her butt. She got a smelly little cunt that's loaded with funk and, boogers hanging off her nasty butt.
Well done, sir.
There was some real Dr. Seuss vibes happening at a point there, right?
I try. I really do.
It makes you think that every song is actually written that way.
It's more like Dr.
Yeah. Oh, should I hit the...
I don't give a hoot about this Bill reading lyrics bollocks. Let's get back to the hip and the hop, shall we?
I'm still trying to figure out boogers hanging off her nasty butt.
Oh, no. Don't do that. Don't
try
go
to
down that rabbit hole.
Never try to figure the things out.
Because I've never heard them referred to as boogers down there before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the least of your issues with that song, I would think. That's
yes. If that's what my big problem with that song is, then yeah, therapy is an option. So, oh my goodness gracious.
Right.
That is Bill Reads Lyrics for episode 567.
It is. So do you have another hat?
I do indeed.
All right. Well, then you can change from Bill to Phil and you can take us the fuck home. Or we can let Will leave. It's up to you, Will. Do you want to sit here through the outro and then get stuck talking to us afterwards? Or do you want to run away now? Totally up to you.
I'm fine to hang out.
All right, then Bill, take us the fuck home.
I have changed the hat. I am now Phil instead of Bill.
Yes.
And take me home. Mr. Throwback Thursday, episode 567, the 1989, a number. Episode brought to you in part by our good friends at Def Rugs. DefRugs.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Def Rugs. Handmade, high-quality hip-hop themed rugs from the Green-Eyed Bandit himself, Eric Sermon, and the original Rug E Fresh, Marshall Fox.
Yes.
Go get yourself a Def Rug today. We have a very good friend who is up in Schenectady, New York. Her name is Heather Lent. We call her... She runs the Bittersweet Candy Company, where she makes candy and chocolate that is handmade, small batch, different, and
delicious.
Check them out on Facebook and order at bittersweetcandy.com. Use our code THROWBACK at checkout and save 10% off your order at bittersweetcandy.com. Gail's favorite order, I believe, is the white chocolate with dried cherries and pistachios, I think. So go order that. There's also all sorts of holiday barks that she's got going right now. Really, really good stuff. Melted Mikes. We were joined earlier this evening by Pumice T. Mendola. He is the proprietor of Melted Mikes, MLTDMICS.com, hip hop themed t-shirts, high quality ones with some great sayings on it. Things like crumbs.
That's one of my favorites. He's got a new one. It's a coin. And it's got Big Daddy Kane's face on the coin. It says, put a quarter in your ass because you played yourself the coin. It's pretty cool.
Yes. I saw that. He posted a picture of that. I thought that was great. MeltedMikes.com. You can use our code MR Throwback Thursday and save 10% off your order at Melted Mikes. Etsy.com/shop/geek like you, where the geek shall inherit the earth. Hip hop and pop culture themed items from the sick, twisted mind of Mr. Throwback Thursday himself and his sick, twisted wife, Mrs. Throwback Thursday. Go to Etsy.com/shop/geek like you, where the geek shall inherit the earth. Don't forget the social media network for the show. Visit us at mrthrowbackthursday.com, the homepage for everything Mr. Throwback Thursday. Click around on there. You can see the Posse Wall of Fame. You can see friends of the show. You can check out all the show notes from prior episodes, at least the last 100 of them. You can also leave us a voicemail message by going to that little microphone called Hit Us Up. Follows you wherever you go. Click that. Yeah, I believe you have up to a minute and 20 seconds or a minute and a half to say whatever you want. And we don't listen to them prior to the show. We play them live and raw dog it to our ears. Kind of like Bill reads lyrics.
Yeah. And since you're talking about social media, Will, where can the people find you on social media?
Absolutely, yes.
Sure. Oh, yeah. We're known as 1980s Now is the name of the show, and we're 1980s Now everywhere on all the different social media platforms.
Nice. Smart. Too bad I didn't do that.
I don't think we could. I thought somebody had one of our things.
Well, no. Originally on X, Mr. Throwback Thursday was too long.
Yeah,
that's what she said. And instead, it's at MRTBT. So it's either Mr. Throwback Thursday or MRTBT pretty much everywhere.
Pretty much. Do searches. You'll find us.
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk to us anyway. That's why I asked where they can find you.
You could also follow us on our socials at the aforementioned X and or Twitter at the _MR_TBT and Bill _MR_TBT. Also, my Instagram handle, Jamie on Instagram, is MR Throwback Thursday. Yeah. That is also where you find our TikTok channel, so you can see snippets of the show that, if they allow us to play them, I don't. There's probably not going to be a whole lot they can play from this week, but
hated it.
Hated it. Nice. You can also like our Facebook pages, Mr. Throwback Thursday and Home of the TBT Posse, where the posse interacts with each other and basically picks on me.
Yes.
Which is fun. You can also check us out every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern on Fresh Radio at itsfreshradio.com. Our good friend DJ B, the proprietor of Fresh Radio and Freshtopia, has us right after the All Request Thursday. And if you want to get in on that, you tweet your requests to DJB at Real Fresh Radio, and he will get them on. Just do not request the Booyah Tribe. No. He does not play them for some reason or another. We've never asked him why. He's never volunteered the information.
He just tells me no.
We just take it as fact. It is shout-outs time.
Yay.
Shout-outs this week go to Gail Dunmeyer, Manny Baez, Sarah Henderson, John Henderson, Hugo Gonzalez, Sanket Patel, Clay Arsenault, the Shrieking Warrior, Jennifer Buchanan, Jason Heath, Jessica Walker, Shane Hatley, Ricky Schnarr, Kenneth Elsfelder, Mr. Cranky Pants, Brian Hollenbeck, the legendary Kevin Van Buren, Rob Jeffroy, Kate Harvey, Catherine Liska, Wanda Calamia and Tito,
yes,
and Lion Linwoodell. They get mentioned every week because
I got 5 on it.
Or more.
You want to get your name mentioned every week? Become a patron at the Loonies level. 5 or more get you mentioned every week.
Or start your own show.
Or start your own show. You can talk about yourself all you want.
Yes.
Patreon.com/MRTBT or MrThrowbackThursday.com. There's a tiny little link that says become a patron. Don't forget our friends. And I will start with our friend who joined us this evening. 1980s Now with Will and his co-hosts, Kat and John, for all the 1980s you could possibly handle. And when you can't handle any more, they give you more.
That's right. Take it. Just like the girl in that song.
Yes.
We give you
1980s now.
Check Anthony Imran and the Rug Boy over at the Jock and Nerd podcast.
Yes,
check out our friend Talking Ty at What's the Word podcast of Brooklyn Ty NYC. We mentioned the hardest working turntablist in the world, DJB, on Fresh Radio. Get that app for your phone as well. You can also go to Wild One Radio at wildoneradio.com. We are on 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wild One. Don't forget to subscribe.
A lot early in the morning.
Huh?
So we're a lot early in the morning.
We are a lot early in the morning. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and all of that good stuff. Your input helps our output. If you think we suck, give us a shout out and tell us we suck. Just don't leave us an unnamed 1-star review like some motherfucker did 9 years ago that we've never been able to find.
No content, just 1 star.
No comment, just 1 star. You know, probably some douchebag from Boston.
Yes.
I didn't like the show. 1 star. Yeah. Anyway, go do all that stuff.
Yes.
Go find us. Share the good word. Give a listen to 1980s Now.
Yes.
Enjoy Will with Kat and John. Really, really good show. Until next week, everybody, take good care of yourselves. Wash your hands.
Wash your butt.
Very important to do that. And until next time, keep it classic.
And like Kool Keith said, in a mental state earthquake, schizophrenic eating Campbell's soup.
And always remember,
new school stale, old school fresh.